I'll be frank. There are days when the antics of my preschooler drive me to the brink of madness. When every inch forward is met with a 10-minute meltdown, a cat and mouse chase, or ambiguous dawdling. The particular morning I'll mention here really could have been any morning. It was one in which I took great pains to avoid dissolving into a speedy, rushing mess as we set off to work in preschool. I had myself up and showered early, packed both of our bags, had her dressed before breakfast, and allowed her to skip brushing her teeth, simply to insert a tad more space into the process. As I grabbed Opal's shoes, I glanced down at my watch to find that we were 5 minutes early. A miracle! This meant I could loiter with her around the puzzle table at preschool before buzzing off to work. I felt the kind of aerated contentment that comes from marching at a workable, doable, dare I say, enjoyable pace. I leaned in to put on Opal's shoes. "I'll do it!" she barked, and snatched one from my hand. I had insulted her, and she was suddenly desperate to exhibit her skills in that moment. "Okay, sure, honey, then put your shoes on." But her priorities had shifted, and she was distracted by a plastic bowl containing a haphazard pile I construed in a fit of picking up. A Band-Aid, a pair of baby doll pants, a bouncy ball that looked like a ladybug. She reached to toss them about in the bowl, body sideways. I could appreciate her intrigue, but this was all very time-consuming. In the inane attempt to move things along, I lifted her entire body away from the bowl to sit her up in a proper shoe-applying stance in the chair. My frustration was becoming apparent. The level of offense resulting from this act was so great, so wild, that she flung forward and scratched my neck, yelling, "You hurt me!" How quickly the climate changes in the land of a child. The cottony padding of 5 minutes was long gone. She received some heavy and direct words from me about how we do not scratch, and was carried to her room and placed on her chair. I walked away, breathing like a pachyderm. There was no time for a timeout. We had to leave immediately in order not to be late. These are the moments when a not-so-shiny version of myself comes knocking on the door. I get tangled, but I'm usually able to catch myself before it gets out of hand. I take a breath, step away. But I certainly do get flustered, and when this is the case, I talk in the rough, irritated voice of someone who has been picked at by a fleet of blackbirds and is ready to take whatever measures are necessary to get rid of them. Opal was in tears when she emerged from her room, moments later, a red, puffy face smeared with sticky shine. She was reaching for me as she does when the enormity of life's emotions become swell into an unmanageable mass. This is the point where I softened, where I always soften, regardless of the preceding chaos and confusion. I cleaned her up. I carried her like a lead-filled rag doll to the car to make our way to preschool, now very late. I took a mental inventory of the previous 10 minutes. I buckled her in, and she looked up at me with an expression like a clean slate, like sand after the sea washes away its every lump and blemish. "Mommy," she said, "I want to be just like you." I experienced a moment of shocking white space in the brain, a sort of mental angioplasty, before an onslaught of questions followed. What on earth does that mean? Since it didn't follow on the heels of a seamless morning, my reaction was a mixture of guilt and curiosity. Was this something she'd read in a book? Or heard another little friend say? Such a statement from someone older would have been interpreted as ironic, but I didn't think she was capable of such subtleties in conversation. Perhaps she was referring to how it felt to come back together after a period of such intensity. Or maybe she was only living in the present tense now, of sitting in the car as her mama adjusted her gently, swept her hair from her tear-plastered cheeks, and kissed her on the forehead. I had no idea. Regardless, during those next few hours while I was at work, before picking her up from preschool, I found I had wrapped her powerful little string of words around my shoulders like a superhero cape, inadvertently behaving as if she were there, taking pains to uplift myself to a just-like-you version of me every chance I got. And there were many unexpected byproducts of this sort of intention. I neglected much of the self-criticism. I dropped my clenched jaw, asked more questions, laughed a bit more. Now as I write this, Opal has made sort of a mantra of the just like you comment. all directly following moments of minor discord between she and I. She smiles when she says it now, understanding its quelling power. Once, she said it sweetly, giggling with a pink toothbrush dangling from her lips like a candy cigar. She looks up at me and measures the good bits alongside the glaringly imperfect ones. And there we are, with nothing hidden. It feels like a quick shot of medicinal forgiveness, and like a slippery salve applied to the patches of vulnerable flesh where the pesky blackbirds would normally love to dig in and pick. They slip off without a skirmish, and I don't even have to break my stride. Thank you.